Longtime Republican pollster and strategist Frank Luntz says Donald Trump is enjoying an energised campaign by leveraging the president's problems. He spoke to Sky News US politics analyst Joe Hockey at the Republican National Convention.
Frank Luntz, for 20 years, more than 2 decades, you've been the #1 pollster for the Republican Party and a political strategist that's had an impact around the Western world. Tell me, what's your reading of the new Donald Trump 2.0?
Well, I'm going through a 2.0 as well, having kind of left the partisan polling to be much more independent and much more objective. Donald Trump 2.0 is only 3 or 4 days old, so we don't know what it really means. But I can tell you this. Trump's vote is energized and activated, and Joe Biden's vote is demoralized and turned off. Trump, thanks to a powerful debate performance, thanks to a very strong message, and most importantly, thanks to the failures of the Biden campaign, Trump has got a real lead. And if he had to predict it right now, Donald Trump is the next president of the United States.
So what are the risks to that momentum?
Number one, the speech that he gives, his acceptance speech, and whether it's too abrasive and too vicious. Number two, that if he starts to take it for granted. And number three, and you can hear the noise behind us. This is a really activated crowd. He needs to keep that intensity going for the next 110 days.
And that's a big ask. I mean, you've dealt with Donald Trump for years. You've been inside the Republican Party. It's often in American politics all about how to motivate your base to come out. And I'm starting on the assumption that everyone that voted for Donald Trump in 2020 will vote again for Donald Trump. The question is, can he build on top of that with more moderate voters?
And we've seen that already. There are only 3 swing states left: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those are the only states that are really in play. There's only 4% of Americans that are undecided, so there aren't really enough votes at this point for Joe Biden to win. He or some other Democratic candidate is going to have to unite the Democratic Party, because I'll tell you this, in the 30 years I've been working at this, I've never seen a Republican Party more united, more passionate, more eager to vote early and vote often than this Republican Party.
Well, let's go to the Democrats. I mean, it's rapidly moving already. Even today, there's been some developments which are significant, which might encourage Joe Biden to go.
In fact, I'd say to you that the comments that we're hearing, maybe off the record, but still hearing, from the leader of the House and the Democratic leader of the Senate suggest that if Biden doesn't go voluntarily, they may try to push him. It is a different campaign than 3 weeks ago before that debate, and Biden's attempts to fix that through individual interviews, through a press conference, none of them have worked.
And also, his team's been talking about bringing forward a virtual nomination to lock him in earlier, but obviously he's had a backstep today catching COVID, which will take him out of action for a few days. Maybe it'll make him reflect a bit more on whether it's really worth it.
Well, not only that, they are starting to look at the idea of Republicans winning the White House, winning the Senate, and winning the House.
And that's a trifecta that delivers on Donald Trump's policies.
It's a victory, should it happen, that would shock American politics and offer more change than any president since Ronald Reagan. This is truly a historic moment.
And do you think that if he does that and he builds that momentum, that he has the capacity to deliver his entire agenda? He'll own because of course Donald Trump won the White House, the House, and the Senate back in 2016. So this time around, it'll be even more significant.
Well, you know this better than anybody. Winning an election is one thing, governing is another. And just because you win everything doesn't mean you still get stuff done. But it will give Trump the opportunity, should he be successful, to do a lot more than he did in 2017 to 2021. And that's one of the reasons why this election is so important. It's not just the presidential race that matters. It's also the House, the Senate, and the lower level seats. But we're beginning to see the ingredients of a sweep. I don't want to predict it because I want to be accurate, but the ingredients are there right now.
And do you think changing to Kamala Harris, because I'm assuming it will be Kamala Harris, it'd be just too big a leap for the Democrats to go and get two new candidates? But if it's Kamala Harris, you think that would mitigate some of the losses?
Well, what we've seen in the last 3 months is that Harris is now polling as well as, if not better, than Donald Trump. Last time that happened is never, not from the moment she was nominated to today. So clearly Democrats are starting to look at and for an alternative, and she would be the most likely alternative. I would pay you for a Trump-Harris debate. I will sell tickets. I will bring the popcorn. Since you're Australian, I'll bring the beer. And it'll be an event heard around the world.
Well, it will be, and it just goes to show there's going to be so much more that's going to happen, and how significant the Democrat convention is going to be in Chicago.
Well, you're a keen observer of American politics. You've always been. And I think that convention is going to be even more interesting than this one because we have no idea what's going to happen there.
Thanks very much, Frank. Thank you for your time.
It's a privilege, and Ambassador, it's a privilege to stand next to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.